Bill Walsh, welcome to Necessity versus Commodity.
Appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
I'm really privileged to have you on. I've met you 2 years ago through circles. I know you launched the Objection box about a year ago. Ironically, I just enrolled with you right before your 1 year anniversary. And I want to give you two huge congratulations off the bat. Number one, there's not many people that walk into a space in the first 12 months, break seven figures. I think that's a pretty amazing thing that you did. The thing that is most impressive to me, though, is you constantly are getting testimonials, like multiple every single day. And that is a hard thing to pull off, scale that fast and still get every one of your clients results. So, I mean, to me, that's a huge testimonial to what you're doing on the back end fulfillment, because that's one of my biggest problems being in the space for 8 years. Fulfillment is always failing. What do you think's been your biggest key to go from launching the Objection box to where you are today, success-wise, you personally success-wise?
Good. That's a loaded question. Firstly, just thank you for inviting me today. I know you're busy and I know I'm busy, so getting this done is definitely something we got to both push around, and I'm more than happy to help all my friends help grow everything that they have, because I know what it's like to be on the other shoe, or the other foot, I should say. That question is, we could spend a whole podcast on that, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah.
I think a lot of experience I've had in this industry has kind of made me know what's right and what's wrong. But I've also looked at what's been good. You know, I looked at people that were doing good stuff and how do they sustain it and all the rest of the stuff. So for us, the biggest component of everything that we did, especially in the first 12 months, was based on production, you know, not on profit. You know, it's based on production. And I've always told the guys inside, we hit the standards, you hit my standard, you hit your own standard, you take care of yourself, you take care of the people around us. The profit will always be there, but it never comes at the expense of the production of everyone inside. So that makes me more proud. I actually only spoke about it today with a guy that just joined. He was talking about, you know, competition in the marketplace and all the rest of the stuff. He's getting bombarded with ads and all the rest of the stuff. I said, yeah, but that's what happens when you fall into the pixel. But the other side of it is that when you look at kind of what we've done over the first 12 months of business compared to some of the bigger fish that have been in it 5, 7, 10 years, you know, and we're producing, if not equal, but more testimonials, results, you know, case studies, you know, screenshots, videos every single day. But I said, what's really important is we're doing it with a small pool of maybe 80 people. Whereas some of the competitors are doing it with a pool of 500 people.
Yeah.
You know, so that shows to me it's the consistency of production, not a one-hit wonder. Hey, I just looked at this training and I just did this on the call and I made a sale. That can happen once. You know, we all know the Hail Marys. But to consistently do it day after day, week after week, month after month is the biggest, proudest, and the most thing that I'm, you know, excited for the next 12 and 24 and 36 months for sure.
With you brought up some, you know, unique points there of running a business. You just spoke to someone, he's seen a bunch of ads, and that's one of the hardest things for a lot of people. You look for something, you click on an ad, all of a sudden you see 20 others. And we deal with that on sales calls, right? People are like, well, I'm looking at this person, I'm looking at that person.
Yeah.
The thing that I see that separates you above everybody else is you have one of the most important needle movers in actually getting results for someone on a sales call. And that's why you see your clients just back to back. Hey, I was doing 5K a month. It's been 2 weeks. I'm already at 20K because objection handling is so key, right? We can tighten up a funnel and say, hey, if you don't have $10,000 to spend today, we're not going to call you, and tighten that up. Same thing on a sales call up in the front end. We can tighten it up and go, well, Bill, do you have $10,000 today in the first 5 minutes? You're going to tell me yes. And then I'm going to get an objection at the end anyway.
Yeah.
So the objection piece to me is one of the biggest movers, and why I joined the Objection box is because I know that that's a missing piece, that I'm good, but I'm not elite, which you take people to elite.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why do you see people going from average good to elite within weeks of joining the objection box? What do you think that secret sauce is for you?
I think the secret sauce for me is I took out the confusion and the complications of actually objection handling, and I give people what they lack, which is the confidence to actually stay in the pocket with people. I've broken it down to 4 things that happen at the end of a sales call, Scott. They'll say yes, no, F you, or hang up.
Yeah.
You know, in the world that I come from, buddy, and I'm sure the world that you come from and the experiences that you've had in your life, some stranger telling me yes, no, F you, or hanging up on me, like, just like,
Doesn't matter.
doesn't matter, you know. And once you get that into people's head, then you actually give them a clear and concise process of overcoming all the objections in the market, then it all just starts to click into gear. There's only 5 big objections if you think about it. There's a think about it, partner, money, fear, and logistics. That's 5. That's it. Okay. I saw one time a good friend of mine had over 50 different ways to overcome objections. There's only 5. There's only 5 fucking objections in the entire market. Think about it, partner, which are both smoke screens, just to let people know. There's only 3 real objections in the market, which are money, fear, and logistics. That's it. And once you know a clear and concise and a way to actually understand that, process it, and actually overcome it, that's how you make money. You know, that's how it works. You know?
Yeah, and you break the frameworks down very easy and simple process. Like you said, there's a lot of coaches out there that are marketing to fix this problem and overcomplicate it. How are you supposed to memorize 50 different ways of handling a call and knowing that every single call is different? And one thing being on the training calls with you that I've really noticed that you really coach people up on, they ask a question, you give it to them, but then you also say, hey, this is an intuition play here. And I think that is something that's very, very missed with a lot of it's, hey, read off this script.
Yeah.
You know, and even in your script, you start with the North Star, which is really awesome. I'm really liking going through this because it has sped up my process. Instead of 40 minutes, it's cut it down to like 15.
Yeah.
I get to the real conversations a lot deeper and a lot more powerfully by doing that. So the simplicity of going through, how much intuition from call to call do you think is important on the way that you handle an objection?
Yeah, it's, look, if you've been on enough sales calls that like you and I have, they all very, very fundamentally come around the same 5 key components. So once you actually understand that and you actually get that into your big head, which I did very, very soon when I stepped into the world of sales, I was like, okay, well, I'm keep getting the same thing over and over again. And it broke down into 5 things. And then if I broke down 2 of them, it only went into 3 different things. So I learned that very, very quickly. And I didn't tell everyone. I didn't want people to know that I knew it because everybody was so fearful of objections. Everyone was so scared. That's why they pre-handle. And they're trying to, you know, spend 45 minutes, you know, digging out all the pain, all the problems, all the concerns, all the issues, everything before you get to the most critical part of the conversation. And that's why I fundamentally built the objection box, because I just saw too many salespeople losing sales. And I saw a massive gap in the market. I was like, everyone wants to probe and clarify and go through 10-step commandments and talk about internal shifts and this, that, and the other stuff and open up conversations like this. But nobody wanted to stay in the pocket and actually coach people on the most hardest thing. You see me, I go live every single week and I coach people and I train people for free and I do it in front of people. There's not a lot of coaches out there that will go into a space with 4,500, 10,000 people looking at their shit and coaching them.
Agreed.
And showing them how to overcome objections. So I think we took an awful lot of the market because of that, because we're fearful. We're fearless when it comes to showing. But I think, you know, once you break it down to the simplest form and you understand there's only 5 and get comfortable being uncomfortable, you know, as you see with me, but I have a very high standard. Not only do I carry that myself, but my team carry it, but everyone that joins the objection box has to carry that. And if they do that, they will make a ton of money. You know, it doesn't deviate too much away from the standard that we set inside. And if you meet the standard, you'll do an awful lot of great stuff.
You bring up an interesting point there and I agree, it's one of the main reasons why your clients have such success. Your standard for yourself is up here. right? And as a coach to do that, I'm a big believer in 1% better every single day, the compounding interest aspect, and you on a live coaching call just the other day, coaching some people up and go, are you spending your 20 minutes a day practicing your objection? Studies show if you spend 20 minutes a day over the course of a year, you're going to be one of the elite in that compared to the rest of the planet. Yep. And I was really shocked when I reached back out to you and said, hey, Bill, I'm looking at, jumping in the objection box here. Let's jump on a call and figure out what this looks like. And when you told me it's 6 months, that blew me away. Because you're actually giving time and space for the person to start wherever they're at, to make sure by the time they're done, they're elite. And I think that's huge, where there's so many coaches that do the 30 days, 60 days, and they're cutting people off right when they're starting to ramp up, and then trying to upsell them into something that they can't afford now. What made you decide to do that model of, hey, we're going to give somebody a good time and space to make sure that when they leave here, that they have definitely 10x their investment?
Yeah, great point. To be quite honest with you, what was happening for us was so we first initially launched and it was 4 months, and got to the end of the 4 months, and what was happening was people turned into fireworks, and people shot out of the blocks, and they made a ton of money quickly, and then they stopped doing the shit that got them to where they wanted to go. And as you know, the firework goes all the way up, and then what does it do? It hits its peak and then it comes back down. Yeah. So the peak for a lot of people was about the 3-month mark, because they can sustain the standards for 3 months. They can sustain that level of training and development. But the other side of it, Scott, when you're making 3K a month and then you turn out an 18K a month back to back, it's hard to fucking get up again and then go for the run at 6 a.m. in the morning. That's the difference between making 18K and 180K a month. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like for me, it stopped being about making money, and it's about making impact now. So not everybody thinks like me though, or certain individuals. So I looked at it and I said to myself, okay, well, if we just extend the time and people understand that it's not a fucking quick fix and that they have to put the time and effort and commitment into it, then it's set in stone before they even start. Now, on the back end of things, I don't upsell anybody into anything. I actually downsell it. I actually drop the investment on the back 6 so they can stay training without feeling the pinch. Now, is that counterproductive? Yes, of course it is. Why? Because people are making a ton more money after they go through 6 months. But as a thank you and a value to the person for giving me 6 months of their time. The money is the easy thing. And I always tell people, like, that's the easiest thing that I can take from you. The hardest thing is your time. Because once you understand that dynamic of time and money, the time becomes way more valuable than the money that you have.
Great.
So I thank people in the back end, and I give them access to stay, to continue to learn and train and develop, because then it becomes not just, like a habit, it becomes a routine. And that's what I want, because if you continuously hit your routine, then you don't need habits. You just need your routine, and that's the goal for me always. So that's why I did it that way.
And it was one of the reasons why, routine, the training, it was one of the reasons why I reached back out to you. I was switching between offers the last 3-4 months. I hadn't been on point. You and I both come from a fitness background. And if you want 6-pack abs, you need to be doing stuff daily. If you want to be an elite closer, you need to be doing stuff daily. That's why I reached back out, and I'm like, this is a skill I need to develop now and focus my time on, because it's the most important needle mover, and why I reached out to you. And being in the objection box so far, it has blown me away fulfillment wise. I even put a post out last night. You are one of the very few people out there in the last 7 years I've hired where the fulfillment is exactly how I would treat a client as well. And that always blows me away. And your care for people, you've always shown that with me. I remember 2 years ago, I sent you a couple calls. I hadn't given you $1 and hey, will you review these for me and just give me a quick feedback? You did that. That speaks volume to me. You treat people the way that I treat people the way I treat clients. And I think that's another reason why you have such amazing success right out of the gate. People knew who you were, what you were about, and you attract that. And you are a natural leader, and you raise everybody up as well.
Don't say that to people, because I'll have hundreds of people sending me random calls all the time now, and I'll be inundated.
That was 2 years ago. Let's clarify that. That was 2 years ago. Different story. Yeah, and good point on that. Looking at the state of the sales training industry niche right now, I mean, over the last year and a half, you have, I mean, it really is crazy how many 20 to 30-year-olds are popping up as sales trainers. You have some of the big names out there. What's one of the biggest problems you're seeing right now over the last 12 months that you've stepped in, and where it's kind of been changing, and the problems you're seeing?
I think a lot of people are looking for the easy money grab.
Agreed.
I think there's a lot of people preying on people trying to get into the industry. A lot of people, I'm picking up the pieces all the time with people that have spent 6,000, 7,000, 8,000 with this. Come in and I'm going to train you and I'm going to place you, guaranteed aspect of things. I think it's putting a disdain and a difficult taste in all of our mouths. People that are really trying their best to do the industry right. I think that's a big issue across the entire industry. I think it's a big problem. I also think a big problem that we have is the lies that is happening in the industry at this moment in time. And again, look, everyone has their own opinion. I come from a world where, you know, being in Ireland, being in high level sports, being in military, being in one of the most competitive cities in the entire world of building a fitness business in London, like, you have to fight fire with fire. So I'm in a position now where I'm getting all of that. You get all of that. So it's about being able to navigate that and to be able to pull back a little bit. So I think that's a big issue. I think there's an awful lot of young kids preying on other young kids, or elderly people, or, you know, middle-aged people. It doesn't really matter, but they're preying on the idea of, you know, the guarantee. The guarantee is the issue. I think we need to get rid of the guarantee, because it's causing more problems than it's solving. You know, when you guarantee somebody you're going to help them get to a 10K offer in 10 weeks, you know, and you don't have it, and then you're selling more on the front end and not being able to fulfill on the back end. That's how people, you know, fall in and out of the cracks. You know, and it's something I'm heavily on. You know, I don't guarantee anybody anything. Number one, because I don't need to, because the skill alone will guarantee you everything, you know, and that's what I think is the issue. People that are supposedly in a position of, you know, influence, and, you know, people that look up to them, they're not good. You know, they're not very good at scale. They're not very good. They haven't closed enough. They haven't coached enough. They haven't proven it enough themselves. And then they're trying to reincarnate something that they haven't actually done themselves. I have done everything that every single salesperson wants to do. I joined sales in 2021. By the end of 2022, I was a multimillionaire. So I've done everything. Do you know what I mean? And I've carried that the whole way through. You know, so I think that's the biggest issue I have at the moment with the market, is the lies, and it's the guarantee placement. If we got rid of those two things, I think we'd be in a much better position.
I couldn't agree more. I was actually going to put a post out about that today, that the guaranteed placement and guaranteed 10K a month has become the new, I'll book you 100 leads a month type of marketing. It's completely lying to people, and it's putting a really bad taste in the mouth. And a lot of those marketing companies, again, they're worried about scaling. It's one of the things that again, I'm honoring you for, of you're never going to put making $1 above getting a client their result. And a lot of the other people have flipped that, because the goal is, hey, I want to hit 100K a month. I don't care how many clients fail through that process, where that's a complete opposite where you've taken it. And you and I both know you start and a lot of these, the reason why it doesn't work, you start a new offer, it's unproven, you're running ads, you're getting horrible leads, not consistent. You know, it's not a place you want to be. And it's a brand new business. You don't want to put a brand new closer in there. You can't expect that to work. And why so many businesses are failing too. And I think it's really unfair to that.
Yep.
Looking at what you've done in the past 12 months, you've actually coached some people. They've gone out, started their own type of aspects.
Yeah.
How does that, what's that do for you and like your confidence? Like, hey, I'm bringing people up,
Twofold.
well, they're launching their own businesses.
Yeah, it's twofold. Number one, it makes me proud that we've given them that amount of, training and that high level of a skill. On the other side, I'm a little bit questioning it because they don't have the experience to do it. They don't have the track record to be able to do it. And what will end up happening is exactly what you just said. People always want to scale to fucking where I don't know. And what will happen is this: the profit. I always call it the profit and the production. My production is all the way up here. Is the profit where it could be if we just focused on profit? No. But if I want to do this has to come down a bit. Now, how far it comes down is down to that individual's personal, I suppose, risk tolerance and how they perceive themselves and what they want the market to know them as. For me, I'll never damage that as much as I possibly can. I'd rather make less money and have a better name in the market than make a ton of money and have no name in the market. Point and prove, Kevin David, made all the money under the sun and, completely robbed every single person of it. So you have to, have to look at the ethics of what you want the world to see you as, as well. So on one hand, I feel very proud. And on the other hand, I feel very, constrained by it. I feel very challenged by it. So I wish all of the people that I've worked with, trained, developed, I wish them nothing but success, all of them. And some will end up being my competitors.
Yeah.
That's just the nature of the beast. Is how it works. You train people up and then they do their own thing, same how I did. And that's just how it goes. So I always say this, right? I'm a positive person. I'm a very, I suppose, happy-go-lucky kind of person. I'm Irish, so I'm drunk half the time. So we've had a lot of difficulties this last 12 months internally with my own personal family, and we've lost lots of great people, some very young people. And I look at people that are in a position where they throw stones, or people set their own things up, and I say to myself, you know what? Life is too short. I'm happy doing my thing. My team are well fed. Everyone is well fat. We're getting a lot of production. Everyone is doing great stuff. Welcome to the game.
Yeah, and it's always a unique position when you being in the spot that you are. It makes me think when I was coaching people and I was training people at National Personal Training Institute 15 years ago, training people to be trainers and actually be business owners. Those pieces. And when I had my own brick and mortar business, an old student of mine opened up a place a mile down the road from me. His grand opening, I went in there, gave him a huge hug, congratulated. I brought some of my clients over. There's enough for everybody, right? Like fitness space, you can grab a rock and throw it any direction you're gonna hit a fitness professional. But there's more people out there who need it. And the skill level is what's going to take you to the top. And people know that about you, that you are in the top level. Now, over the last 2-3 years of me going in different sales courses, one thing that attracted me to you right off the bat, and why I reached out, connected you a few years back, was you are you. I had so many courses tell me I had to change the way I spoke, the way I talked, the way I was on a call. It wasn't natural to me. Now, over the past couple of years too, reaching out to companies, going through their sales processes, looking at hiring them for whatever reason, for marketing, for business growth, whatever. It's amazing how many salespeople are sounding the exact same now and just reading off a script. And I see within a year that burning. One of the things I love that you coach people is them being themselves. You're just helping them become better with the skill. Do you see a problem with everybody kind of becoming the salesperson around the block lately?
Yeah, I don't see it. I know it's a problem. And I can hear it a mile away. And what tends to happen, Scott, on a sales call, when you have one particular way and you've only one way of doing something, when you don't get the exact same answer that you want, then you're lost. You go back and you ask the same question the exact same way. and then you don't get it again, and then you ask it again the exact same way, and the person's looking at you to say, how many times do you want me to answer the same question? And that's how your conversations are getting out of balance, and that's how you start losing deals. When you sound robotic and you sound like you don't know what you're doing and you don't know how to ask a question 4, 5, 6 different ways, then you're going to be stuck. You'll hit a level, you'll make money, but you won't make the money that you could if you actually just used yourself. So I think it's a massive problem. And that's what happens when you're mass producing sales training for a lot of people.
Agreed.
It's work, you're given, it's like the school system. And I said to this, everyone, when I started, if you look at the school system, Scott, everyone gets the exact same education. You have 10% that are like the best. You got 10% in the bottom that, like, no matter what you do, are just going to fail. And then you got 80 in the middle who, like, you got some that are gorillas, some that are monkeys, some that are cheetahs, some that are, elephants. They're not going to all go up the tree the exact same way. So you're just giving them one way of climbing the tree. 2 of them or 3 of them may go up the exact same way that it should happen, but then the other ones are going to fall and they're going to come out of balance and they're going to fall on their ass. That's the issue with mass production of sales training. Yes, it's great for the bottom line of the company, but it's not great for that production aspect. That's the issue.
And I couldn't agree more. And I think I've noticed it really bad over the last 6 months.
Yeah, it's awful.
It's awful. And it makes it actually easier for you and I.
Yeah.
Because people are actually like, oh my gosh, I'm not dealing with somebody that's just reading off a script. It just doesn't sound like the same person, whether it's robotic, the same question, or just the same body language and tone that they're doing everything.
Yeah, they're just so boxed in. They're just so rigid on one way of doing something, and you just lose all, intuition, and you lose all kind of, I suppose, conviction in who you are as a person, and being able to just have a conversation with people. And it's really affecting younger people, to be quite honest. If you're under 25 and you're in sales and you're learning one way of doing something, you don't build the internal strength of intuitive kind of selling and like having conversations with people, and you just think it's one way, you're in trouble.
I couldn't agree more. You starting your own business, you have a unique perspective now of being a sales rep. I had my own business too, so being a sales rep, I understand the business piece. It's another problem I'm seeing with a lot of sales reps. They're feeling, hey, that's a crap offer, this is garbage. They're demanding so much from a business owner. And I think some of this stuff is going to really shoot some people in the foot in the next 3 to 6 months. They're not going to be offered anything because of the prima donna type of attitude out there. Do you see that issue popping up? And do you see that being a huge problem popping up throughout the rest of the year that might really start affecting the overall market and be able to be actually placed correctly?
Yeah, it's not, I don't see it coming up over the next 6 months. It's actually a problem now. And it's very apparent because I have a lot of friends that are recruiters, very good friends in, different industries and different places. They're always looking for salespeople. When I joined sales in the back end of 2020 into 2021, I just rocked up every day and there were 6 calls in my calendar, Look, without being an egotistical arsehole about it, I was so good that I didn't even have to do my own outreach. I didn't even have to message people. The company actually bought people to do that for me. So I was just told, just turn up on the call bill on time and just make sure you make sales. Every day I made 4 or 5 sales out of the 6 calls. And that's how I got really good really quickly, because I was just allowed focus on one thing. Now, the problem that the businesses are going to have over the next 3-6 months is the tightening of the belt for everybody outside. So that's inflation, that's cost of living, that's interest rate going through the roof, people losing their jobs, the war in Ukraine, XYZ spill over then from obviously that terrible C word that we had for nearly 2 years. That was a complete fiasco. So what is happening now is that if you can't handle your own leads, you can't make wine out of water, you're not going to the top of the line. The thing that recruiters are looking for now at this moment in time, skill, work rate, resilience, and get after kind of attitude. If you're sitting back waiting for calls to come on your calendar every single day, you're going to be in trouble, So yes, they will. There is offers out there that will just put calls on your calendar. I call those grade A offers. But the problem with grade A offers is there's only about 15 of them in the market. Tops. And I'm being very generous with saying 15.
Yeah.
And there's only enough space for maybe 50 people. Problem that you have, buddy, is if you're not in that top 50, then you got to work. And you got to work your face off. You got to book your own calls. Now, the other side of that is if you're going to book your own calls and you're going to do your own outreach, then there's a conversation of added commissions, or there's added bonuses, or there's bases, and things like that.
Yeah.
But again, it all comes down to production. It all comes down to what you produce. If you're not producing jack shit for the company, you get nothing. You just get what you're given, and that's it. So every problem, every issue, every concern that all of these salespeople have, 95% of the issues all get wiped away by you being able to do what you say you do, and being able to walk the talk and talk the talk, or walk the walk and talk the talk. That's the skill. If you can operate in the level that people need with the skill, everything else becomes redundant, and everybody else becomes redundant. That's the key.
Bringing up, the top tier offers, there's not a lot of placement for that. There's also a lot of mid tier that are out there. And I think too many salespeople and business owners are battling back and forth. Like, hey, I can't make the money I want just on your offer. I want to work with another offer as well. No, you have to just work with me, blah, blah, blah. So people, there's this battle. And I think everyone needs to raise their standards and be better in that scenario.
Yeah.
But to your point of, there's only really some really good offers you need to be on. Yeah. The higher up you go, that network, everyone knows each other.
Oh, yeah.
And you can either get welcomed into that room and sit at the table, or you can pretty much be banished pretty quick.
Easy. Yeah.
What happens? What do you see happening if someone gets banished? Obviously, if you're showing you can do something, the door is going to open, you're going to be welcomed in. But what are some things you see a sales rep do that gets that person that kind of, red carded off a list of even being talked to?
I think a big thing is ego. I don't mind confidence. I'm a very confident person, very strong conviction in myself and what I can do. So, but there's a difference between that and ego. And it's a very fine line. And some people will just perceive it to be just all ego. And some people will just think that guy is so solid in himself that he's absolutely hot shit. So that's a very fine balance. So I think I call them mavericks. I call top quality people mavericks. A lot of mavericks walk that line every single day, but what mavericks do at the end of it, like Tom Cruise used to do, he used to drive the missile every single time onto the target. Yeah. If you can do that, and you can do that effectively over and over and over again, you can get away with a few bits and bobs. Big red flags is people that think that they can walk the walk and not be able to do anything. You have bad attitude, you're not on time, you don't come to training, you don't fill in your forms. Like, if you think of all of the red flags and why people get red flags, in 95% of jobs outside of high ticket sales, you will get fired anyway. Like, if you turn up late, you have a bad uniform, you don't take care of your personal hygiene, you don't come to meetings, you turn up drunk, whatever it may be, you're not filling in your end of day reports or whatever it is, you're not clocking in, clocking out, you get reprimanded. So that's what it is. So I don't think there's an awful lot of things that put people in a bad space. Big thing is just your ethics, and the big thing is the standards that you set for yourself, and I think that's getting worse and worse, to be quite honest.
I agree, and I see it more and more every single day. And I think it's a big trouble, and
but it's not big trouble as well, though, because what it will do is, if you are a gold coin and you're sitting in a puddle of fucking water and everyone else is stones and pebbles, what does the gold coin do? Sticks out like a fucking shiny penny, so I don't mind it. It just highlights to me the standards and the differences between this person and that person, and that's the key, because if you are on our side of the coin and you do what you say you do, then you'll never be out of offers. I only spoke to one of my guys today, Christian Jack. He's been in Elite with 2 months. He's had 30 offers in the last 2 months. 30 fucking offers, because his skill is just there, and he does the work as well. He meets the skill with the work rate of meeting people, shaking hands and kissing babies, as I call it. But it also gets himself in the door, and then the skill can carry him into offers. That's how it works,
And meeting Christian the first time, it was actually, it was kind of a group role play outside of, after we were on a call. We later, Christianism, phenomenal.
Yeah.
And someone at that age, like he's writing a ticket for the rest of his life.
Absolutely.
It's really amazing to see. But his
Yeah.
skill and his understanding of what to do and what
Mm.
he's learned from you in such a short amount of time to every situation he's been in, the confidence, the calm, knowing exactly where he's taking people.
Yeah.
It's very, very much the way that you handle it. And I've seen that with all of your clients kind of coming
Yeah.
in, how quickly. And so sometimes we don't notice that ourselves, but it's cool to watch other people do it, knowing, hey, if I keep up the work, that's going to happen to me as well.
The funny thing is, right, when you say that, people will see this and they'll be like, oh, Scott is, teeing him up because he asked him to come in here and X, Y, and Z. Believe me if I tell you guys, all that Scott is saying right there now is all verified. It's all there. It's all data. Just go and just look. You don't have to look too far. Go and look at all of the testimonials, case studies, results. Just go and do your own bit of research. It's there for you all. So I always get that all the time. And I understand it too. People are very, hesitant, and they're always calling foul play. And again, that brings us back to the conversation of, people preying on good people. And then when you see something that is perceived to be too good to be true, that's when the good people really get washed with the bad people. But my biggest job and my biggest focus for the next 12, 24 months is to continue to separate, to continue to just be this side of the coin and just say, this is what I am. This is where I am. These are my ethics. This is my standard. This is who I present to be. This is who I actually am. I'm not going to lie to you. This is what it is. It's hard, but it's the hardest thing, but the best thing you'll ever do, and just having that separation. But yeah, it's a big challenge for sure, unfortunately.
And there's a lot of vehicles out there with the sales, and there are a lot of Hondas out there, a lot of $50,000 cars. When you launched a year ago, you were starting off at Lamborghini status. Over the past 12 months, I see you elevating to that Rolls Royce status.
Yeah.
And that is something that is completely powerful because of the value, the quality, everything that you're getting. You can't fail if you put in the work.
No.
And you are going to be one of the best out there. And that's one of the reasons why I find is, Bill, let's go. Right. It's time to jump in on this. Now, looking at the past year of you starting your own business.
Yeah.
As a sales rep, we understood cost per client acquisition, all these little small pieces of the marketing, the numbers. But now that you're a business owner, what are some things that you either ran into that became a problem, or something was like, fuck, I never even thought about that. Actually, when I was just a sales.
There's lots. I went from being a single man, not single in my personal life, but a single man in terms of like professional life. I was, as I always called them, Mavericks. I was just on my own. If you want to rock with me, you can rock with me, but I don't need you. I'm going to do it anyway without you. So going from that kind of mindset to now, pouring my heart and soul into, 100 or so people, whether that's my internal team or the students or the people in the community, it takes a lot out of me. It took a lot out of me in terms of my own personal life, my own family. It took me away from them an awful lot. Like, I'm in my apartment. I bought an apartment a couple of years ago, about 2 years ago. And I come here for a couple of days a week just to get away, just to work, which is sad, you know what I mean? But it's also powerful for me because then I can go back and actually be present. So a lot of that kind of shift had to happen, and a lot of changes. If you think about it, right, we're 1 year into the business. If you look at a kid of 1 year, a baby at 1 year of age can't feed itself, can't change itself, can't wash itself, can't walk itself. So that's kind of where we are, but also we're like, I don't know, we're like one of these fucking chic sons that's like, is being groomed into being like the head of state, you know what I mean? So there was all that kind of conflict internally. I suppose then the biggest lessons that we had to learn was I had to make strategic ideas and strategic plans. I've always been in the mindset of just do the next thing. And that got us so far, like it got us to our first 2 million. in the first 12 months. But the issue now is that I can't make strategic plans for the next 10 days, 7 days. I got to do it 3, 6, 9, 12 months out, you know, and that's the big difference now. And you're not hiring for tomorrow's problem. You're hiring for 6 months down the line. So I had a very, very good friend of mine who was helping me with marketing, and, you know, we set off the business together, and he was inexperienced, you know, and I was inexperienced. So to kind of really take the business to the next level, you can't put inexperience and inexperience together. It doesn't create experience. It creates confusion. Yep. And it creates, you know, a lack of clarity and a lack of direction. So I couldn't fire myself, and I couldn't ask myself to leave. So, you know, lots of difficult decisions like that have to be made, and that is, you know, that hurts, you know, because you're losing friends. But there's lots of decisions that need to be made that you don't want to make. And some days I look at it and say to myself, fuck, why don't I just take my top 25 guys and just go take on 3 accounts and just make, you know, 6 figures a month just doing this? And then I say to myself some days, like, if I do that, then I'm cheating the market. You know, I'm cheating the people that I could help and that will help and that can help by playing small. You know, I see a lot of people playing big that I know that we're going to walk all over soon. And all it is just time in the market and time under tension. So yeah, there's a lot of learnings. There's a lot of stuff that we're like making up. I always tell my guys inside, we're a bunch of, you know, bandits running around robbing banks. That's what we are at this moment in time. And there's going to come a time when it has to be regulated. It's going to come a time when it has to be, you know, systematic and structured. And we're kind of in that kind of stage now. We took on a great partner who's helping with the back end of the business and ads and all that kind of stuff. And, you know, really just taking that amount of stress away from me. So that's been a godsend. But yeah, it just takes a little bit of time to find your feet. You know, we shot off crazy. You know, we made $1 million in 4 months, all organic, and that's cash, you know, and that takes an awful lot of, you know, time, effort, commitment. Then we had to pull back a little bit because we were growing too fast. And again, it comes back to that point of the profit over production. Yep. We were just in that tipping, not that far away, but like I could see it starting to happen. I was bringing people, the team were bringing people in. I didn't even know who they were. They were jumping on calls. I was like, when did you join? They were like, I joined on Tuesday. It was like Thursday. I was like, I haven't even spoke to you yet. You know, and it started that kind of stuff. And I was like, yeah, we're not doing that because I know where that's going to go. Yeah. And I've worked too fucking damn hard for the first couple of months and for the first like year and a half of being in sales, of building a network and building a reputation to just throw it all away for making an extra couple of $100,000 for the next 12 months. So I pulled back a little bit, you know, we pulled back, we built infrastructures and we brought in people, you know, we made systems and we built our structures and, you know, we processes. So we're constantly learning, constantly developing, constantly, you know, putting in new aspects of stuff and looking at things and saying to yourself, okay, if we put another 10 people in here, what's going to break? Okay, well, let's fix it and then put the 10 in and then it doesn't break, you know. So yep. There's a lot of that kind of stuff, you know. I spend my days now directing people around, you know what I mean, and like yep. pushing the right people in the right avenues and stuff. So yeah, there's lots of internal shifts, there's lots of business shifts, but I'm enjoying it. And, you know, we're getting great results. The team are fed, the team are enjoying it. The day I stop enjoying it and the day my team don't want to come to work is the day we're done. You know, yep. I'll finish it then, you know, because it's not about profit at that stage. Then it's more, you know, it's about the people, you know, and that's the case. So the big thing for us is that sales is never going to go away, whether I go left or go right. Yep. What we'll produce and what we will continue to produce in the market will be stepping out of the way, you know. So yeah, there's been a lot, you know, and I went to America actually for the first 12 months just to kind of get away and just to kind of look at what we did for the first 12 months, what we need to do for the second 12 months, and, you know, making those, you know, strategic plans and ideas, you know. But it's constant. It's always there, you know. There's always something to be done.
Yeah. One, and starting a business, starting the growth, and then scaling it.
Yeah,
those are 3 different processes. And the fact that you pulled back speaks volumes for like your goal for all of your clients and what that's about, because you're not going to, again, bring 5 people in this month and just let them drown. And that doesn't benefit anybody.
We scaled to 130 students in the first 6.5 months.
Yeah.
With 130 students on market, on calls. Like, that's how fast we grew. And that's a high level ticket price. Like, you know what I mean? That was no ads, no anything. That was just me with a small 2 people just going for it. You know, and we got to that stage and I was looking at people and I was like, I don't even know who you are, my friend. And we pulled back. We you know, left a few people out. We gave them back refunds. We're like, look, I think you're too early in the process. We brought on the wrong type of people. You know, we're bringing in setters, we're bringing in people that weren't in sales. And what ended up happening, Scott, for the like 2-3 weeks is that it just didn't sync. If you think, right, if you fill a restaurant with vegans and you fill a restaurant with people that want steak, they're all people. They may all be from the one town, but individually they're all different, you know, and that's what was happening. And you're trying to mash 130 different people together. It doesn't work. So, you know, our messaging had to be a little bit tighter. You know, we were targeting salespeople, but I don't want to work with salespeople. I don't want to work with people that want to fucking go into people's home and remodel their bathroom. I just don't, you know what I mean? I want to stay in my field of excellence. And I think that's a big issue too, is everybody wants to be the jack of all trades. I want to be the jack of one trade, and I am going to be that guy, you know, and that's the key for me. I want to stay with one thing and I'm going to do it the best, you know, so there's a lot. So when we got to that stage, we had to pull back. We had to let people out and push them into different programs. And like, look, I think you should go over here and work with this person. He's helping with setters and stuff like that. And then come back in about 8 months, 6 months. So there was a lot of that kind of stuff, you know, but we're happy where we are at the moment. We're the right people in place, with the right structures, with the right kind of systems. And as we grow, I'll bring in more, you know, in terms of in coaches and stuff like that I value, you know, and that's the key.
Well, and you've got 2 great coaches right now. Nick and Nick are amazing. Like they're top notch. Francine's second to none as well. You know, and I'm actually really shocked you said that you kind of ran into that issue, because me going back through all the role plays, I make sure I listen to at least one replay every single day. And how many times I hear you call someone by name, be like, hey, where you been? I haven't seen you in a month. And you ask them how your offer is. You're asking personal questions. And that's the thing about your fulfillment that really blows me away. You have 100 students. And you know each one, where they're at, what's going on with them, who they are, what their offers are on, where they're struggling, even if you haven't seen them in a month, and you're kind of calling them out on that. Like, you better been making a bunch of money this past month. And I love that too, actually, when you're on some of the live calls, like, oh, you closed 9 out of 10 deals in the last week. What are you doing here? Go keep making money. Come back here when you need it, watch the replays, and how you're really conscious of what it is going to take for someone to be successful in every level. And I think it's absolutely tremendous. So it is, again, one of the best investments I've ever jumped into. And I can't thank you enough for that.
Appreciate it. It's hard. People would say that's hard to learn and to know. I remember, like, I still have people that come to me that I sold into something 2.5 years ago. And I still remember the conversation we had. I still remember the pain, problem, concern that they had then. And the first thing I'd say, hey, did you get rid of said problem? And people are like, how do you still remember? I'm like, I say this to people all the time, right? I'm the most fortunate person in the world, Scott. And you're going to say, why? And I'm going to tell you, because I truly believe every single person is good at one thing in their life. I truly believe there's one thing that we're excellent at. I'm very fortunate. What I'm excellent at is sales.
Yeah.
Now, I wasn't the most excellent hurler when I was playing. I was good. I was very good. I wasn't the most excellent, trainer, but I was good. Do you know what I mean? I think everyone has an ability to be very, very good. And I mean excellent at one thing. What I did have all my life, Scott, was a tremendous work rate, a tremendous, sacrifice skill, bone inside me that was like, you want to go party? I'm going to go to bed at 9 o'clock because I got to get up in the morning. I got to go training.
Yep.
And I've been very fortunate since COVID and all the rest of the stuff and falling into sales. Every skill that I've acquired all my life, being able to train people. Like I back in the day, like I trained a girl back from suicide. I trained a girl back who was medically, disabled and things like that. All of those great things feed itself into being able to lead people and coach people and train people. And there's a great saying out there, pressure is a privilege.
Yeah.
And I feel that every day, but it is a privilege because people look to you for guidance and the support, and to look to you to be the leading light. But the biggest thing is that, like, I think everyone is excellent at one thing, but I've been very fortunate to find out one thing, you know, being able to coach people and lead people. You know, some people are great drivers, you know, some people are great, you know, in a garden, you know. I don't want to do any of that stuff, even to the stage of my little girl takes out a puzzle. It's a 3-year-old puzzle. I'm looking at the thing, it doesn't go in there once. I'm like, do you know what, fuck this, you know. So I'm so in tune, I'm so tunnel vision on one thing in my life. Yeah. You know, and all other distractions, all other things of, you know, partying and, you know, enjoying the fine things of life. When you make a lot of money, like, there's a lot of distraction, there's a lot of people that want you, there's a lot of people that, like, you know, throw things at you and just can pull you from different things. I'm very fortunate, I'm very settled in my life. I have great kids, you know, great partner, great support system around, and great team and great students, and I'm just set in the way, you know, and I know where we're going. So I found that, and I think a lot of people, you know, I think a lot of people have the ability to be good at sales, and some are going to be very good, and some, if you find the right people, are going to be excellent. Yeah. And you've hit the nail on your head. James and Nick are excellent. I can see people, I can look at all the different people, and I can cherry pick them. Like, I'm going to pour as much time as I can into you because I know you have what it takes to be good, you know, and that's important. But
Agreed.
It's it is a skill that will continuously pay if you allow it to pay, you know, and that's the key. It's not easy, but also sucking at life isn't easy, and also being broke isn't easy, and also
choose your hard.
Years a week flipping burgers isn't easy. So you got to choose your hard, as they say.
Yep, I couldn't agree more. And I know that I want to respect your time, Bill. And so I want to, you know, really say thank you for jumping on with me today and talking. And I know you got to jump in about a minute or so. Is there anything that you want to throw in at the very end here?
No, for us, I'm always privileged by everybody that wants to come and, you know, invest with me and the team, and, you know, have that access and all the rest of the stuff. And for those that aren't even in that position, we have a great community called the Objection Box community. I think there's probably about 30, maybe 50 hours of live coaching, training, development in there that you guys can take, that you guys can run. The only tax I would ask of you is that once you do go through it, you just let us know that it made you money. That's all I ask, you know. Andy Frisella, do you know Andy Frisella?
Love him. Yep. 75 hard, baby.
Yeah. There's a couple of great people I follow. There's a couple of great people that, you know, lead the way in terms of who I am as a person. Andy Frisella is one, you know. Hormozy is obviously another one. Do you know another great guy I like at the moment is Andy Elliott? You know, all of these great people. Do you know Andy Elliott? No,
I don't.
The guy over there in Las Vegas, he hangs around with Brad Lee all the time. But anyway, there's a lot of great people that hold themselves to a higher standard, and those are my kind of people. You know what I mean? But he always says he never runs ads on his podcast. The only tax, or I can't remember the way he frames it. The only tax that he puts on it is that you share it if you get value. And that's all that I ever ask of anyone. If I give you any amount of value in life or in sales or whatever, all I ask you to do is pass it forward, you know, pass it forward, because that will help the next person and the next person and the next person. And that's how a lot of people get help, you know. So that's all I ask.
Couldn't agree more. So appreciate you, Bill. Glad to have you on today.
No problem, buddy. Anytime. See ya.
Okay. Have a good day.
Ciao, ciao. Bye-bye.